working in the community mental health space and then moving into the church space, I saw the disparity between the two, how the church
Wow.
is functioning and how the church is offering support. It just seemed so lacking. And I was frustrated saying, come on, people, this is the body of Christ. This is the local church. We have to do better around caring for people.
Hey everyone, Patrick Elkins here with the Church Creatives Network. Today we are highlighting an amazing resource that we hope will help you guys strengthen your teams, but also your church community. Laura Howe is the founder of Hope Made Strong, and also an online event that's coming up on October 10th called the Church Mental Health Summit. Laura, I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this talk. Thanks so much for making some time to be with us.
I am pumped to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just excited to get started. Talk to you about kind of your background. Would you be willing to share a little bit about your story? Where do you live? What's kind of your background? What got you into this space? Why are you so passionate about serving the church?
For sure. Well, I am born and bred Canadian. I live pretty close to Toronto. So if you hear that accent,
Oh
feel
yeah,
free to make fun of me. I hear it all the time, all the out and abouts,
that's
all those
awesome.
things. Yep. And my background is a clinical mental health social worker. So I worked in the community where I live, supporting those who are marginalized and struggling with their mental health or addictions or homelessness. And I did that for about 15 years. Now, my intro point to the ministry world or the church world was probably, well, it was by accident, which is probably where I think many people have found themselves, where they love the local church. They love
Yeah,
God, they love Jesus, they want to be involved in their community. And then slowly, they find their way more and more involved in their local church, which is exactly where I found myself. And to be honest, I was really frustrated. Again, a common feeling from many people that I hear is from working in the community mental health space and then moving into the church space, I saw the disparity between the two, how the church
wow.
is functioning and how the church is offering support. It just seemed so lacking. And I was frustrated saying, come on, people, this is the body of Christ. This is the local church. We have to do better around caring for people. So that was my entry point into ministry,
Yeah.
coming in and wanting to help equip the church so that they can support their congregations, their teams, and their community better and without burning out, because that always seems to be the side effect of serving in ministry is
Oh yeah,
burnout.
it's like
Yeah, and we
inevitable.
don't want that. We don't want that. So how can we care for others without burning out?
Well, I have an interesting question to ask you really quick, kind of side topic. I had a conversation with Matt Curtis actually, and one of the things we talked about was, a lot of times people that experience burnout in the church don't realize they're burning out until they hit the wall of burnout.
Mhm.
What are some indicators, just in your experience, if somebody might be kind of creeping up on that threshold?
Oh my goodness, such a great question. And it's so hard because it's unique to each person.
Yeah.
But I want to empathize with that feeling that you don't know you're burnt out until like you're crashing and burning. Like you're not just at the cliff's edge, you're like falling and being like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, why is this happening to me? It's always comes
Yes.
by surprise. I could share my story just very
Sure.
briefly. I found myself really burnt out and I didn't even realize it was happening until it impacted my work. So I was frustrated with my family. I was irritable. I was isolating myself when I normally would go out with my friends. I was not sleeping well or having nightmares or restlessness. I was moody. All of these things, my health wasn't so great. And all of these things, I was just, life happens, life struggles, we go through ebb
Yes.
and flows. And I was blaming it on having young children or, trying to do 2 jobs at once or, all of these other things, frustrated with my husband or spouse, and I we blame all these things on external factors, not recognizing that these something might be going on inside of us. And it wasn't until work was impacted where it was a counseling session where I prevented someone by saying, "Hey, we can talk about that at next session." So I stopped someone from sharing their experience in a trying to protect myself from hearing more awful stories of
Yeah.
trauma. And I just wonder if someone else might be feeling that. Where at home and in your personal life, you're tolerating all of the compounding stresses. But at your workplace, you're recognizing, oh, this is impacting how I'm my creative, or how I'm engaging with my colleagues, or how I'm approaching projects, or my attitude in staff meetings, right? We tolerate the things that impact us personally, but they might be more of a red flag in our work. And so that was my experience of how I started noticing burnout. But I
Wow.
do have a recipe for burnout. I have kind of the equation of what equals burnout. I don't know. Do you have a moment that I could share it?
Absolutely. Please do.
Okay, well, I define burnout as hopelessness, helplessness, and prolonged stress. So if you have these three components, it's like a real simple recipe: hopelessness, helplessness, and prolonged stress.
Wow.
Hopelessness is the feeling like this is never going to change. I'm always going to be stuck in this. The relentless hamster wheel of work, the deadlines, the especially in ministry where Sunday morning is coming 7 days later, like no matter what, like it
It
can
never stops.
feel it never stops. It can feel really hopeless, right? Especially when we don't have opportunities to have vacation or respite.
Yeah.
So hopelessness is one ingredient. Helplessness is the other ingredient. And this is when we're feeling out of control. Like this isn't, I have no control over my responsibilities, of my schedule, of my timelines. I don't feel like I have a say in what I'm doing. And when you feel like you're out of control, or you're feeling helpless, and you're just succumbing to the ebb and flow of other people's agendas and ideas, it can be really demoralizing. And it is a key factor in burnout. Now
Absolutely.
the
And
yeah.
does it seem like a lot of people in that situation maybe feel uh, powerless to change their
Mhm.
circumstances?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, I just have to I'm at the whim of my supervisor or the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
For
And you
sure.
also mentioned the idea of prolonged stress. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, prolonged stress is the tension and pressure that we feel that could be a number of things. It can be relational.
Yeah.
I often talk about the dual relationships that happen in church ministry where our pastor is also our boss, but we also kind of act like friends sometimes. And it's just this weird situation that happens in church that really doesn't happen in very many workplaces.
Yeah.
And so that relational tension that could happen, also financial tension. Ministry doesn't pay a lot. No one went into ministry to get rich, let's just be honest. And so it can create a lot of pressure and tension around finances. And
Yeah.
so things like relationships, stress, time, health, finances, all of these prolonged, when they're long term stresses, they start to build. And when you add in the components of feeling helpless or powerless, and then hopeless, like this is going to be like this forever, that is a recipe for burnout.
Wow. I was actually talking with a friend just a few weeks ago, and she was sharing a bit of her story as well. Some indicators for her. One of the things she noticed as she was coming home, like you had sort of mentioned, feeling irritable with her family,
Yeah.
and her kids, and her husband, just things going on, and wasn't able to really show up and be fully present there
Mhm.
because I think she recognized she was just carrying too much responsibility and too much weight and too many things in the name of ministry. And that's one of the things that I admire those who I've heard say, I'm never going to sacrifice my family on the altar of ministry. How do we continue to keep those priorities in the right place, in the right
Yeah.
order, so that we can
It is
show
hard.
up in a healthy way in both
Yeah.
circumstances?
Yeah, and I'm certainly not perfect, not even remotely close. I still have days, especially in
I don't believe it.
y-
No.
yeah, oh, for sure. No, no, especially in key moments of when like, Christmas, Easter, fall kickoff, these really
Yeah.
tight-ish timelines around the church calendar where you dig in and you're in the trenches and you put your head down and you just get stuck. But as long as you have respite, times to refuel, and I think that is the key part, is
Yes.
when you have opportunities and seasonal opportunities where you can actually unplug, detach, and refuel.
Yes.
It can get you through those difficult moments, or those, intense moments.
Well, and gleaning from outside resources, being inspired, or even just take a moment, sit on the beach, right, and just
Yeah.
soak it in. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
get the vitamin D, whatever it is that can recharge your batteries. And one of those things I think can be attending things like your upcoming event. I think it's a great time to even transition, talk about that a little bit. You got this event that is designed to equip and inspire and empower and hopefully refresh. And it's called the Church Mental Health Summit. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is and what it's going to look like?
For sure. So the summit was birthed out of this passion to support those, to help the church support those with
Yeah,
mental health struggles. Now, first and foremost, we all struggle with our mental health. Every single one of us have mental health, and some days it's good, and some days it's not so good. And so I think recognizing what mental health is, how to maintain well being, how to respond to others appropriately within our roles within the church, and then how to refer and connect to the resources in our community. These recognize, respond, and refer are three key skills that I think every individual, kind of like first aid, that everyone would really benefit in understanding and knowing. You know what? You don't have to be a counselor or a psychologist or psychiatrist to be able to support those who are struggle. Really, you just need a compassionate, empathetic heart. And and so anyone can support those who struggle with mental health. And I don't mean treat or diagnose or anything like that. We can support, we can come alongside. And so that's where the Church Mental Health Summit was birthed from. How can we equip ministry leaders to support mental health in their congregation, in their community, and on their teams? And so October 10th, it's available free. October 10th is World Mental Health Day. So we honor that with having a free access to the over 60 talks. There's a lot. It's kind of like Netflix for faith and mental health. There, you
love
just
that.
log on, you just log on, select a talk that you're interested, and you can watch it. Everything's pre-recorded, so it's all ready for you to watch and engage with. So you don't have to worry about the schedule or anything like that, time zones, all of that stuff. And so we're
Wow.
just really excited to get these key tools and information and engagement into your hands.
I love that. It's so cool. And I was kind of looking at your website. It's very the event itself. I mean, there's a lot of meat there. There's a
Mhm.
lot for people to discover and to engage with. I saw the schedule is actually from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard. I mean, that's a good portion of conferencing right there for
Well,
any one single day. And
well, the thing is that people from all over the world are logging in. Last year we had
yeah,
80 countries log in. So we have to
oh,
be mindful of
amazing.
time zones. So there
Yes.
are people that are engaging in this at every moment. And so we just want to make sure that there's a reasonable time for everyone to be able to log on.
I love that. I know that you have a pretty killer lineup of presenters. Are you willing to share just a couple of people who are going to be speaking or presenting in the conference?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really excited. I'm partnering with two organizations to help me offer the Church Mental Summit for free. So it is because of
Wow.
the generosity
Yeah.
of those sponsors. And so one of the sponsors or one of the partners is Spiritual First Aid, and they are doing just that, a conversation on spiritual first aid. And so this is what I'm talking about, the recognize, respond, and refer. And it's a great way, a simple way for you to be able to engage. The other partner is with Rosemead School of Psychology in Biola, and that's Dr. Chris Adams is going to be talking on Christian flourishing. So specifically in the leadership category.
Mm,
I didn't mention that there's four categories. One is global and mission. So looking at culture and missions, I should say. So
yeah.
looking at the different cultural impacts as well as issues specific for missionaries. Community health, which is talking all about just the issues that we would see in our community: anxiety, depression, relationships, youth, things like that. Church health is all about stigma, culture, and resources that we would use inside the church, like discipleship, small groups, things like that. And then the final one is leadership health. So, really addressing well the needs of leaders and trying to uphold that. Now, you mentioned Matt Curtis, who's a good friend, and he is going to be speaking in, I'm not sure if it's the leadership track or the church health track. And he's talking about having healthy teams, leading healthy teams. He is an amazing guru in that area. And so We have everything. There's so many things. There's 70 talks. Dr. John Townsend is speaking. Dr. Anita Phillips. There's so I Kay Warren, Mark Dance. There's just so I can't even Katie Cole, Joe Padilla. Like there's so many. I
So
can't
many.
there's 60. There's so many. Yeah. But if you are leading a team or you are engaged in your church and you come across those who are struggling with their mental health and you just what do I say? I don't know how to support someone. I don't know, is this mental health? Is this my place? What is my role? If you want to just grow in your awareness, definitely check out the Church Mental Health Summit because there's probably a talk that would interest you.
Yes, I love that. And just out of curiosity, how do people find the Church Mental Health Summit? How do they register? Where do they go to find you guys?
Yeah, churchmentalhealthsummit.com. Really clean and simple, nice and easy.
Very clean and simple. Could have guessed that one, right? And again, it's
Hey,
free
what is
free
that
registration,
simple?
right?
Yeah, it's free. Now, if people want to use this, a lot of churches use all of these talks for team training so that you would show they're only 15-20 minute talks. At least that's what I encourage this speakers. Some preachers can't keep it to 20 minutes even if they tried, but most speakers are able to offer a 15 to 20 minute talk, and so these are perfect for staff meetings or maybe a staff retreat or even
Yes.
onboarding your volunteer. So if you want to engage in Matt's talk and, you know, rewatch this as you onboard volunteers about building healthy teams, then you're going to want to get the all access pass. And that is $79 per church, not per person, per church. And then you're able to have lifetime access to all of the talks.
Oh, that's so cool. That is an amazing opportunity for churches to continually and residually train and equip and refresh their teams on all
Yeah.
of these different areas. That's incredible. Laura, is there anything else that's on your heart just to share before we wrap up?
I think people often say when they hear of someone who's struggling with their mental health, you need to speak to a counselor, you need to speak with the pastor. And that's true. They very well may need to speak with a counselor or a pastor. But I can't overemphasize the power of peer support. It is an incredible way to support someone in their journey. An example of that is anyone with young kids. You probably had pediatricians and doctors, midwives, nurses, all of the professionals at your disposal. But let's be honest, who did you go to most frequently? It's your friends and family who've
Yes,
been through it, who are right beside you, who know you best.
that's right.
And so with any struggle that anyone has, people are finding that individuals go to the church first before they seek professional help. And so your church is a first responder in this mental health crisis that the nation is experiencing. And so we want to equip you to be able to know what to do in those moments and when someone is seeking support. So don't be afraid of mental health. You know, it's an experience that we all have, but we want to equip you and so that you can be confident when someone approaches you. It's not an if anymore. We can't say
Yeah,
if, it's now when someone reaches out for help around their mental health, and we want you to be prepared. So this is all about encouraging and equipping, and we hope you enjoy it.
I love that. And I love that analogy that we as a church are the first responder to those that
Hmm.
are hurting. I love that, Laura. Well, you can find Hope Made Strong under the Leadership Collection here in the network. It's tagged with the word equip. And if you haven't yet, make sure you find and follow Laura Howe here in the Church Creatives Network. And as always, we invite you to join the Church Creatives Network. Visit our website, www.churchcreatives.net. Click the join link. That's all there is to it. Again, I'm Patrick Elkins. Until next time, thanks for watching and keep serving the church with passion and excellence.